This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and apparently rumored to be the next offensive coordinator for the Arkansas Razorback football team. True or false?
I have not heard that, but it's possible. I mean, I've displayed such expertise about college football on Twitter, or whatever that is now, that maybe somebody has me in mind. I can call a quarterback sneak. I can do that.
You can call
something the current one couldn't do.
Can you execute one? That's the question. So,
yeah, no, wouldn't want to try. Wouldn't want to try. Yeah, I played a little quarterback in junior high school, and I couldn't take the snap. I fumbled the snap 4 times in a row, and they moved me to the defensive backfield. So there you go. And then I retired at age 13. Enough about me, right? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
In the U.S. House of Representatives, we still do not have a Speaker of the House. We're in week 3 of a speakerless House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. There's 9 candidates running now. 2 are not election deniers. The other 7 are. I put it at 50-50 that we get a new speaker by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, which is the desire. What do you put the odds at? And who do you think it might be, if anyone?
I guess I go with your odds, even though I can't see how it works. I'm leaning toward strongly the House Majority Whip, Tom Emmons of Minnesota. He's number 3. McCarthy was in the old arrangement. McCarthy's out. Scalise dropped out. This guy has some conservative bona fides, and I think can win the nomination out of the caucus. But then it goes to the floor, and he may have trouble with 5, 8, 10 of the ultra-right kooks, in my view, because guess what? He voted to certify the returns in the presidential election. That's what I just said. A man just went along with the Electoral College and our democratic system, and for that he may not make it. But I think you're right on the timing. I think if he comes out, then he's got a chance. It may be just time to stop fighting. He may have enough conservative connections. He's been head of the National Republican Congressional Campaign Committee, which raises money for all the candidates. He's the one I'm centering in on. But I just it may be, if it's the same old story, and they come down and he can't quite make it because of this election denial. I heard your man. I heard Womack yesterday on your show. We may need some Democrats, and they may come around under duress to my original idea, although modified. So we remain in a mess if on Wednesday it's not done. Let me say that.
Your pick for House Speaker, is he, to borrow a phrase from your column, is he mushy or muscular?
He's mushy. He's mushy, but he needs to be mushy in his moderation. That point is, I wish moderates could be extreme. I mean, be strong about their moderation.
They were with the secret ballot.
Yeah. But by definition, a moderate will take a moderate path. Won't a moderate? Yes. So I'm looking for an oxymoron to take effect in our politics. What do you think of my assessment about Emmons or about the Wednesday timetable? I think you're with me on that we'll know midweek if it can happen. What do you think? Emmer, not Emmons.
Emmer, right. Yeah, no, I think we'll know by midweek if it can happen, but I honestly don't see a path for anyone to get to 217. I mean, there will have to be a change in attitudes, as they say, among the rank and file to say, we've kind of squabbled enough on this. We've made our point. Let's bury the hatchet. Let's move on. We got a House business to take care of.
But you don't think that's going to happen?
I don't see that right now. I still don't see that. And you got 9 candidates. How are they going to coalesce behind one? How are they going to coalesce behind one?
Well, don't they meet and nominate one, and that's the one who goes to the floor? And it could be a reasonably close race in caucus, but that one becomes the one. So they vote on one at a time, who is the designated Republican. I think that's the way they would do it. And the issue then becomes, if it's Emmer, could Emmer pick up those that kicked out McCarthy? If not, It's time for the moderate Republicans and the Democrats to do something center out, a little bit of negotiated compromise, and put these backbenchers back on the backbench where they belong. I've said that all along. That's the way out, but it will be the absolute only grudging last resort. But if we're not done by Wednesday or Thursday, that's where we are. We're down to that, I think.
I agree with that. All right. Here in the state of Arkansas, Governor Sarah Sanders has spent about 2 months being dogged by this lectern gate controversy. You and I have talked about it plenty of times. This last week, I would suggest she tried to change the subject. She made a call to the Israeli embassy. She is going to stop these woke pregnant words in state government that she could only provide one example of. She goes to MENA for Capital for a Day, which is about as far from the state capital as you could get, and good for getting some cabinet folks over there.
You're leaving me no commentary, Roby.
Did it change the subject, is my question.
Well, not for me, because I got a column coming tomorrow saying that her approval rating has dropped in a couple of polls. It probably has to do with the lectern and with attacking public information. So she ran her trot lines through state government and found one phrase by one agency in one document referring to pregnant person, and she decided to wage the culture war, which is her fallback position for making political points. She said, some health department document refers to pregnant person rather than woman. And she gathered women around her and said, this crazy left is ruining us, and we're not going to stand for it in Arkansas. She could have. Now, I think she believes that, but that's bad to use that phrase. But these culture wars really are not naturally in the political domain. The people and the courts settle that, and the politicians come along later, unless you want to exploit. I believe she found this. Thank goodness she found some agency that said that. And she could have called over to her health director and said, I see this phrase. Your governor would prefer that not be used in your documents. And then maybe somebody in the health department would have leaked that she did that and would have had a natural story, but she wanted to ballyhoo it. She wanted to literally try to exploit it to change the discussion. But tomorrow I put all that together. I'm not done with the lectern. I say she did it because of the lectern and because of the approval rating drop in a couple of polls and because of her attack on freedom of information. And that's what it's all about. And that, the politicians, their only real effectiveness on culture war issues is for the people and the courts to decide them and then to come along, unless they want to demagogue it or exploit it. I accuse her of that in this case.
All right, I read the document that has the pregnant person phrase in it there, and I honestly just think somebody was trying to expand the vocabulary by using a different word.
Either that, or maybe
it stood out like a sore thumb, sort of. It didn't seem like it was an intentional. We need to be somehow woke or politically correct here, and it.
Yeah, I don't need to say this, but I will, because I'm a straight up kind of guy. I'm a 69-year-old Southern white man, and I can't always overcome that. I try to, but the idea that we would refer to pregnant persons rather than to women or to mothers, I can't get used to. I don't necessarily vehemently disagree with what she's saying. I'm just saying you're using this in our little province down here for your political purposes, and there's a way to deal quietly with that if you believe it. Don't use that anymore. And I know I just got in trouble on the left. I try to be better than my age and my geography, but its cultural influences are strong. I just want the debate to be had out here among these passionate people. Let's have it. And for the politicians to elect a Speaker of the House, to deal with education and Medicaid on the state level, and I don't like usually the conservative politicians rushing to exploit when they get in trouble. That's my view on that.
All right. Lastly, I'm hitting you kind of cold with this. Just if you can't
Okay.
answer it, we need to come back to it next week. We will. The Buffalo River has become kind of a center point of some debate here. There's talk about making it a national park and a preserve, which would bring more federal dollars in, but probably bring more tourists in as well. But can you just kind of explain the debate that is going on here? What are the sides on this issue?
The debate, I think I can simplify it. The debate is between people who believe there is more there is more money to be made from the Buffalo River than we are making, and that you could do that by changing it from a national river to a national preserve, falling under different rules in terms of utilization. The sides are between, and it's an old argument, the sides are between let's stimulate this economy as we can and let's protect, preserve our natural treasures. On the other hand, that's the debate. Now it gets into peripheral things like the natural preserve. You can cede control of the or authority over the area to the governor. Well, you imagine how some of us think about letting Sarah Sanders be in charge of the Buffalo River. So that's peripheral. It's going to be highly emotional if it proceeds. Something tells me it's going to die out, but we shall see. I could be wrong about that. But at its core, it's economy versus preservation, an age-old debate. Is that how you see it, or do you see it somehow more broadly than that?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't dived into it as deeply as I would like to, and so what I am hearing and reading is, I think, incomplete. So I really don't feel
Sure.
like I have a grasp
Yeah,
of what the current debate is all about. So
yeah, I've been busy on lecterns, but yeah, and culture war. But I still believe that's the general essence of the debate
yep.
in a broad sense.
I'm reminded of the George Fisher cartoon with a shadow of Bill Clinton standing on top of a cliff overlooking a forest with some random person. And he says, "It's beautiful, isn't it, Governor?" The stranger does. And Bill Clinton says, "That depends. Are you an environmentalist or a forester?"
Right. Right. Yes, and that's sort of what this is about. Yeah, yeah. Fisher also said of environmental or economic versus environment. When the Corps of Engineers was doing something, said the Corps of Engineers motto ought to be, "God would have done it himself if he'd had the money." So these debates have been with us for some time and will continue to be. But this could be a highly emotional one. That river, as is deeply treasured appropriately in this state.
All righty. John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my man.